I see there's a couple more people joining, so I'm going to wait a minute. All right, we will go ahead and get started. It's two after. Carmela is my co-host for today. She's one of my admins. So she's going to be keeping an eye on the chat. If you have any questions as I go through the presentation, I will answer them all at the end. And then we'll also open it up for Q&A for any specific questions. She'll also be letting anyone in that has popped in a little late. So I am so excited to go through this webinar with you guys today. So one of my passions in coaching is calendar and inbox mastery, just because it has really changed my life over the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years. I'm very intentional about my time and what goes on my calendar and what I say no to. And a lot of these items that I'm going to be sharing with you have helped me to better manage my calendar and my inbox. So top producers don't manage time, they design it. And what I'm going to go through with you today in this training is for you to learn how to take control of your calendar and your inbox so that your days run with intention and not reaction. It's very simple systems, and it's just real execution that you will be able to implement immediately. One of my favorite quotes from Albert Einstein about time is that time is really the only capital that any human has and the only thing that they can't afford to lose. So, a couple truths about time. Mindset and time management mastery is the key that unlocks the door to success, wealth, and freedom. Most people try to do everything themselves rather than stopping and thinking about what they should be doing or what they could be doing differently to achieve better results. I know if there is a week that my calendar is empty and I don't have things going on, I kind of just sit around and I'm not sure what to do. So, routines, habits, and rituals, which we call the law of familiarity, is what keeps us doing the same things without changing anything. And what we really need to do is stop and think, is that the best use of our time? You know, we often have a belief system of, well, I'm the only one that can do this. I'm the only one that can do it right. I'm good at multitasking, which no one should be saying. It's easier to do it than to train someone. I think that was a big one for me in my mindset years ago before I started hiring assistants and virtual assistants. And when you start thinking about that, you also think to yourself, well, I can't afford it. But really, we need to think about, what is this costing you? It's costing you time, it's costing you money, it's costing you freedom. So, 6 things that I put together that steal our productivity. The first one is shiny object syndrome. I know this is geared more towards real estate agents. So, a great example is, we get an email with some new shiny object that we think is going to help us to reach our goals. And instead of just focusing on what we're good at and what's in our zone of genius, we go after the shiny objects. The second is procrastination. The third is multitasking. The fourth, which is used to be a big one for me, is failure to write things down. And Tony Robbins has a great quote: if you stay in your head, you're dead. So you need to get that out and get it down on paper so that you can stop thinking about it or don't forget it. Number 5 is failure to use a day planner or an online calendar effectively, which is the big chunk of what we're going to talk about today. And then number six is not having and not using self-imposed deadlines. So the rule of 168, you may have heard this before, is that we all have 168 hours per week to work with. So that's 7 days times 24 hours. So after we're eating, sleeping, playing with the kids, etc., start thinking about what do we do with the rest of our time. So we have the same amount of hours per week as Elon Musk, as Oprah Winfrey, as Richard Branson. And in order to change for the better, we have to look through a different lens other than the one that we've been looking at and seeing from a different angle. So I'm so excited to share this with you. If you haven't seen it before, it's called the Productivity Pyramid, and it's by Trevor McGregor. He is a coach who used to be on Tony Robbins' team. He broke off and went out on his own. He now has Trevor McGregor coaching. But one of the main things that he coaches about when talking about your calendar is that everything that you do fits into the triangle of his productivity pyramid. So if you start at the bottom, you see what's called low or no value time, also known as brown time. So these are all low to no value tasks that we may do every day that give us a low ROI. So it could be watching TV, scrolling on your phone, doing yard work, mowing the grass, food prep, laundry. Next up, you see light green time, also known as low dollar value. So low dollar value is something that you're doing that's getting you ready to make money or getting ready to save you money. So it might be taxes. As a real estate agent, it might be doing market research or looking at comps. But if you look on the pyramid, there is a black line. And so the low dollar and the low or no value items are all below the line. What we want to focus on, especially when we're putting tasks into our calendar, is playing above the line. So playing above the line, you'll see dark green time, also known as high dollar value. These are items that are making an impact. They make you income. As an agent, it might be negotiating properties. It might be going to a listing appointment. I put as a high dollar value item on my calendar. And then we have at the very top our high lifetime value or gold time. So these are items that give us infinite value of our time. Could be working out, playing with our kids, hiring a coach, travel, masterminds. I put my self-care items on my calendar under gold. So what we want to focus on first and when we're looking at our calendar and our to-do list is what are those items that are high dollar value items and what are that fall into the dark green time and the gold time. So I know this probably sounds a little crazy if you've never heard it before, but trust me, it's amazing once you actually start implementing it and using it. So the first thing you need to do is do a time audit and think about where am I currently spending my time? And if you aren't currently keeping any sort of a calendar, it might be beneficial to do a physical time audit. And it's as easy as taking out some paper and doing a time audit for about a week, where every half hour you're writing down every task or item that you're doing, and then going back at the end of each day or at the end of the week and like physically highlighting in those colors, gold, brown, light green, dark green. It's going to give you a real quick idea of where am I spending the majority of my time. Then you want to look at what can I do to reduce all the brown time and the light green time? And then also what can I do to increase my dark green and my gold time? So the easiest way that I do this, so I start doing my calendar for the following week on Fridays. And the first thing that I make sure that I put onto my calendar is all of my gold time. So this includes the morning routine that I do where I'm journaling and I'm doing a Bible study and I'm reading a professional development book. It includes church or any church activities that I'm doing. Later this afternoon, I'm getting a massage, and my massage is on my calendar in gold. Um, when I'm meeting with my business coach, that goes on my calendar in gold. Then I go in and I fill in the dark green. So what am I doing this upcoming week that is making me money or making an impact? And I take all of these items from the annual goals that I did that I broke down to my quarterly goals and then broke down into my weekly goals. So I first look at all of that and put all of that onto my calendar. And then I know that if I am following my calendar, I am doing the little steps that I need to hit my weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually goals. So then once all of that is in my calendar, I fill in my light green time, and you can or you cannot fill in your brown time. It's completely up to you. I like to put it on my calendar because I use the Google Calendar. I use the color coding system. And if you're using that, you'll see on the left-hand side at the bottom, it kind of summarizes where you're spending the majority of your time based on each one of the colors. So I can do my calendar for the week. I quickly look at my calendar and I look at the bottom left-hand side of my calendar, and I can quickly see how much gold, green, light green, dark green, and brown time that's on my calendar. So a lot of my brown time is that I put on my calendar is mostly like driving my kids because it's either my husband or myself. We don't hire out those items. But the more you condition yourself to do your gold time in the morning, which could be journaling, meditating, exercise, etc., the more dark green and the light green will flow into your calendar as well. So time blocking and chunking. I feel like this is also super important when you're talking about your calendar. We call it your categories of improvement. And so what you want to do is you want to take these items and schedule them on your calendar by color as well. We'll get to that a little bit more in a minute. But when you're thinking about how you can be super productive, you want to start with identifying who you need to be before you actually start working on your schedule. So if you have a goal in the future for the end of this year of who you're going to be, let's say, you started a fitness program and you have some fitness and nutrition goals that you want to hit before the end of the year. But in order to do that, you need to work out 3 times a week and you need to follow your meal plan and you need to meal prep. That's the things you need to think about before you start working on your schedule because you want to make sure those go into your calendar. You want to work on things by having an attitude of gratitude. Remember that when you're looking at your calendar and it's full, you don't have to do everything that's in your calendar that you get to. Embrace your gold time and then give yourself space for grace because, we all know that we could have the best intentions of what our day looks like and how it's going to be planned out, but something could happen and mess it up. And you just need to be okay with that and to give yourself some grace. And then you want to set up your environment for optimum success. So talking about time blocking and chunking, the official term for that is actually called the Pomodoro technique. So what that means is working in blocks of time from 45 or 90-minute blocks. Sometimes on my calendar, I'll do 30 minutes, anywhere 30 minutes, 45, 60 minutes, or 90 minutes. You want your head down and be focused during that time block for maximum productivity. So I typically will set a timer in my office. I turn off my email. I turn off my social media. I go to the bathroom before I sit down so that there's absolutely no distractions during that time block and chunking. And what studies have found is that productivity will improve tenfold. And every time that you're interrupted, or what we like to call multitasking, oftentimes we give praise to people who do multitasking because we think that's so amazing. But what it actually does is when you're multitasking and when you're getting interrupted and you're going from task to task, it actually takes your brain 7 to 12 minutes to get refocused. So think to yourself, how many 7 to 12 minute increments Am I losing every day or every week? A couple other items that may increase productivity is they say that listening to classical music helps get into flow while you're in those time blocking and chunking. Um, and really, any kind of music playing in the background helps to increase the productivity. And then I just thought this was interesting. In a typical 8 hour workday in America, we are only productive for 3 to 3.5 hours per day because of the multitasking that we do and jumping from task to task. And that's what we want to get away from by really focusing on time blocking and chunking in our calendars. So I wanted to give you an example of kind of how I use my calendar as well as my inbox for maximum productivity. So as emails are coming into my inbox, oftentimes there's items in there that like aren't super important that I need to do right now, but I need to remember, at some point in the future that I need to do them. And by keeping them in my inbox, my brain gets cluttered. And, every time I go into my inbox to work on something, I'm constantly going through all those emails. So I like to try to keep my inbox as clean as possible and as close to zero as possible all of the time. So a good way that I was taught that I can increase my productivity is by using the snooze feature on my email to match my time blocking on my calendar. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. So if you remember on Fridays, I do my calendar for the following week. And so on Monday, my calendar should be pretty set for the entire week. So as I know that, like, let's say on Friday the 9th, I put in my calendar that I'm going to work on Palm Circle Realty from 8 to 10 a.m. So Friday is typically an office day for me, and that's kind of when I get caught up for the week. So I put that on my calendar and I time block it, and it's in light green time because it's items that I need to do that are kind of lower value, but it's going to help me to make money in the future. So as emails are coming into my inbox throughout the week, if it has anything to do with items that I'll be working that I need to work on during Palm Circle Realty time on Friday from 8 to 10, I snooze them to Friday from at 8 o'clock. So when Friday comes around at 8 a.m., everything that's snoozed, I can go in and know that those are items that I need to be working on during my light green time. Now, often there's also other things that come up. So remember, we said earlier that if it's in your head, it's dead and you need to get it out. If, randomly in the middle of my day, something pops in my head and I'm like, oh, I need to do this. I go to my calendar, I see where that fits on my calendar, and then I just edit the calendar note that I have and I add all the tasks in at the bottom. So when it comes to Friday at 8 a.m., I look at my inbox. I see all of the items that I need to do. I'm deleting them from my inbox as I complete them. And then I'm also deleting them off of my calendar invite if I've done them. What this does is it allows me to get into flow while I am working on these items because they're all grouped and chunked together. So, I might be writing a new webinar that I'm going to share. I might be, working on something specific for my agents at Palm Circle Realty. It could be anything, but, all pretty much the same so that it's chunked together. And then if there's items that I don't get to at the end of my 8 to 10 chunked time frame, I'll look at them and see, do I need to move it to another day? Do I need to delegate it to someone? But if I erase it, I always replace it, unless it's something that I've just decided that I need to delete and not do at all. So this has helped greatly because I often will get decision fatigue. There's only so many decisions that you can make in a day. And the more decisions you have to make, the more tired and cluttered your brain gets from making all those decisions. So, when I go in and I look at my inbox and my inbox is really low, the things that are and the items that are in my inbox are really the things that I need to focus on. And if it's not something that I need to focus on right at the moment, I can move it to a time that makes sense for me to take care of it. So then going back to the productivity pyramid, we're now thinking about what is 1 hour of your time really worth. So if we're looking at brown time, this could be mowing grass, laundry, food prep. Usually things we say that are like could cost you like $10 to $20 an hour. Light green time, $20 to $100 an hour. It could be, a plumber, admin duties, things like that. Dark green time, the things that are making you money could be $100 an hour to $1,000 or more, really unlimited. And then your gold is your priceless. It's working out, it's traveling, it's reading, it's spending time with your family, it's professional development. So when you're looking at your calendar, so let's say you look at your calendar and you do a time audit and you have a lot of brown on there. Well, if your time is worth, $100, $200, $1,000 or more, do you really want to be mowing the grass? Do you want to be doing laundry? Do you want to be doing food prep? Or are those items that you can delegate to someone else so that you can focus more on light green time that's going to give you dark green time? Or, instead of that, you're focusing on your gold time. So for me personally, we have someone that mows our grass. We have someone that cleans our pool. We have someone that comes in the morning and helps with unloading the dishwasher and doing laundry because that frees me up to focus on my dark green and my gold. So also think to yourself, what parts of the day am I most productive? Is it early morning? Is it late morning or afternoon? For some people, it's late evenings, and for some people, it's weekends. But you want to, when you're looking at your calendar, you want to schedule your high impact and high income activities at your most productive times, and then sprinkle in your light green around that. And I kind of mentioned this before, but the 4 Ds of productivity, when I'm looking at my calendar, it's like, okay, what do I need to do? What can I delay? So that could be something that comes up in my inbox that I need to do, but it can hold off until Friday when I'm working on that Palm Circle Realty from 8 to 10. Or is it something that I can delegate to one of my admin? A great book, if you haven't read it on delegation, is Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And then the fourth one is dump. When you're looking at your items of what you need to do, is it something that you've decided you don't even need to do? Sometimes this is also called delete. So you always want to be looking at each item and thinking to yourself, is this something that I need to do? Is it something that can be delayed? Can I delegate it to someone else? Or can we just completely dump it all together and delete it off our plate? And then last but not least is our zone of genius. So when you're doing your dark green time and even your gold time, your zone of genius is you staying in your own lane and doing what you're passionate about and what you love to do. So if you see on the graph on C, those are items way out of your zone of genius. It's things that you're doing that irritates you. For me, that would be mowing, cleaning my pool, and doing laundry. So those are the things that you can delegate to someone else. B are things that you're okay with. They're outside of your zone of genius, but you don't mind doing them. So, maybe that's food prep or, something else that you're okay with doing. And then your zone of genius is like where you are in flow. It's what fascinates you and it's what motivates you. So you want to try, in order to be as productive as possible, you want to try to be in that zone of genius as much as possible and getting rid of everything else that's in the B or the C in that circle. So I hope you got some value out of that. But while I have you, I wanted to share some upcoming events. So on February 18th, I am hosting a webinar on Zoom titled Break the Split, the Painful Truth About Commission Splits in 2026. And then on March 10th, something I'm super excited about, it's going to be an all day in person short term rental summit titled How Agents Win in Vacation Rental Markets. It's going to be at a short term rental in Kissimmee and Davenport. I don't have the exact location yet. I'm waiting to check availability. But we're going to have a whole panel of speakers. And this is really for the agent that just wants to learn as much as possible of working with investors in the short term rental market. So I'm going to be going through my pro formas that I share with my clients on finding properties that cash flow. We're going to be talking about tax advantages for investors like the short term rental loophole and bonus depreciation. A property management company will be there to talk about what to look for in a short term rental and where the properties are right now that are cash flowing the best. We will have interior designers that specifically work in the short term rental market, photographers, a 1031 exchange company, my preferred title company. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, but it's going to be a full action packed day of learning everything you ever want to know about working with investors. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We will be capping it probably at about 40 people just because of space of where we'll be. So more information on that will be coming out soon. And then, of course, while I have you, I want to just share a little bit about Palm Circle Realty. Um, we are a 100% commission brokerage. We only charge our agents a flat $495 per transaction fee. Usually, my agents charge that or a portion of it to their buyers or their sellers. There are no additional desk fees, no caps, no surprises. We have a lot of exclusive perks that I have on there. Some of my favorite are our high level masterminds. I also do one on one and group coaching. Um, we have an annual business planning workshop that's so much fun, and just team events, networking opportunities, etc. But something that I really wanted to add when I started my brokerage was so some additional support and add-ons that fit our business of that higher performing agent. Oftentimes you might need a virtual assistant or a transaction coordinator or a showing agent, but you don't necessarily need one all the time. So we offer all of these options on demand. We just added a showing agent to our team, and she is available for all of our agents on demand as you need her. She has a very flexible schedule and is excited to work with everyone. And then we also have a referral program. So any agents that refer other agents to our brokerage earn their first 3 transaction fees. So it's about $1,500 every agent that you refer. There's no limits on that, just pure opportunity. So I hope you all enjoyed this today. One of my passions is coaching on helping agents to be more productive, not just in your business, but in your life. And, the agents that want to live big lives, who are, entrepreneurs. And if you're ever interested in learning more about the coaching or want to really dig into your calendar and your inbox and get organized and productive for 2026, I would love to help you. But other than that, Carmela, are there any questions that we have in the chat, or we can open it up to any questions that anyone has?
None so far.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. You know what? Let me share this one more time because I do have all of my contact information on the last slide that I did not share with you. Here we go. So there is all my contact information. If you don't have it, my office number, my email. I also have my Calendly link on there that has one-on-one, like a 15 or a 30-minute session for any agents that want to get in touch. So if you'd like to chat any further, feel free to use the Calendly link and you can get in touch with me that way. So thank you so much for joining today and be on the lookout for some of our upcoming webinars and classes. Thank you so much. Bye.